You've heard the idiom, the term, one good turn deserves another. And we live on the basis in life that once one does something kind, we are thereby obligated to reciprocate. You help me today, and I will in return the kindness on tomorrow. And sometimes we return this kindness under duress without truly desiring to reciprocate. Or simply because we feel obligated, we do it. I know that sounds a little rough, but true. I believe that a true kindness demands nothing in return but to be thankful. Hence, it is so within our relationship with God. We feel we owe him big time, not realizing that we could never repay him in the first place because he is God. So before we know it, we quickly fall into a hypocritical phase and false worship, not keeping in mind that he knows the intended content of your heart and mind. Therefore, we strive to impress God with external salvation instead of dealing with me internally. We, in other words, dress to impress. And God is simply saying, I'm here until your me lines up with mine. We are more interested, truthfully, in ourselves with false motivation than waiting on God to have his way by processing each of us. I want to talk from this point, Lord, deliver us from ME-ville. I could have easily have just left it, Lord, deliver us from me. But the word ville is a French word. Its origin, the etymology of ville, comes from the Latin word villa. And villa is in itself a house that is separated and that is attached amongst other properties. It is in your estimation a villa. You understand, there are many of you that find villas on the beach when you go away on vacation, and though it is around other properties, it is detached from everything else. So when the Lord gave me this, he said, Lord, deliver us not only from me, but from things concerning me that keep me detached from your purpose and your will. Not just delivering us from ourselves, but delivering us from everything that calls us to be segregated and isolated out of the proper will of God. Not the permissive will, but the divine will of God. And the reason we say ville is because we're not alone in this thing. There are many of us that need to be delivered from ourselves. I need you to understand that our greatest opposition is not your enemy. It is not your family. No. It is not the trifling sister with the big hat on your third row. It is not those that are competing with you on your job, but your greatest opposition is yourself. You are your greatest problem. I know you don't really believe that because self has you to the point where you like to believe that is everybody else's fault but yours. How in the world could I be my problem? Well, let us look at the word origin, enemy, in me. Look at somebody and tell them, in me is where the problem is. And the problem, watch this, is not only in me, but it ends with it is me. Me is the problem. I am my problem. And so therefore, if I am my problem, then I must also be my solution. That means that there is something in me and about me that will give me the ability to fix the issue. The problem is we have an issue issue with dealing with our truth. Dealing with, yes. We'd rather impress God with external salvation. We'd rather impress him with looking like we've got it all together instead of saying to oneself, I've got to get myself together. And knowing that because he is God and he is unlike man, who is so unforgiving, because man is like this. They won't forgive you for your dirt, but they want everybody to forgive and pardon them for theirs. Aren't you glad we don't serve a God like that? Well, because we know that we serve a merciful and a graceful God, why is it then that we go through all of these crazy motions trying to impress him with what we want him to believe, knowing that what we want him to believe is not our truth? You can act like you delivered all you want to because you're outside smelling good, looking good, but God knows the intent and the content of your heart. And one of the reasons folks ain't really delivered in this hour, it's not because there's something wrong with the church. It's not because there's something wrong with the message. The problem is because we are not honest about what we really need to be delivered from. We have been so fake on the outside for so long that we believe that God has bought into our ideology. God, if I look like I'm saved, then surely I must in your eyes be delivered. And so when we go to God, we do not go to God asking him for true deliverance because we've bought our own lie. Look at your neighbor and ask them, how long are you going to keep investing in your untruth? How long are you going to keep lying to yourself simply because you're anointed? Tell your neighbor, I'm an anointed mess. And when you get to the point that you can honestly be real enough with God to tell him, I look good, I'm smelling good, got on my collar and my cross, but on the inside dwells no good thing. And the truth of the matter is, when I leave your presence, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I need your help right now. Somebody give him glory and say yes, yes, yes. And so here now understand that this is why we have such a true problem with being delivered. Let me help you with this. And I know this is going to really tamper with some folks. There's some preachers that's going to get this message and they going to break the CD after they hear it. Our greatest, watch this, our greatest burden in the kingdom right now, it rests on leadership. Because leadership is under a delusional spirit that if they're still preaching and operating, if they're still walking and calling out names and prophesying and laying hands on the sick and they're recovering, they're under this notion that God has delivered them. Don't you understand that there are many that are still operating in their giftings? Because I need you to hear me now, that our gifts are without repentance. Paul put it like this. He said that I may not be a castaway. In other words, you can still lay hands and somebody get healed. You can still prophesy and somebody have the realization of that manifestation. But your reality is still in existence. Look at somebody and ask them, how long are you going to be this way? Look at somebody else and ask them, why you want to be like that? How come you can't deal with you first? We leave the church. We've sweated and we've used our cloths to wipe our brow. Folks are cheering and calling our name, and we still will go to God with this pseudo prayer saying, oh